Ötzi is a 5,300-year-old natural mummy of a man who was shot in the back with an arrow. He was found in 1991 in the Ötztal Alps at the Austria-Italy border by two German hikers. His body was frozen by the cold and is one of the best preserved mummies ever found, even though it looks like old beef jerky. But soon after the discovery, several people linked to the find died prematurely, which started rumors of a curse. First was Rainer Henn, the forensic team leader that handled the body. He died in a car crash in 1992 while traveling to speak about Ötzi. In 1993, Kurt Fritz, the experienced mountaineer who guided the team to the body, died in an avalanche. He was the only one in his group who was hit by it. A few months later, journalist Rainer Hölzel, the only person allowed to film Ötzi's removal, died at 47 from a brain tumor after releasing his documentary. But the weirdest incident was Helmut Simon, one of the hikers who discovered Ötzi, who was found dead and frozen near the same area in 2004 after falling to his death during a blizzard. Within an hour of Simon's funeral, Dieter Warnecke, who led the rescue team to find him, died of a heart attack. Archaeologist Konrad Spindler, who called the curse media hype and first examined Ötzi's remains, later died in 2005 from multiple sclerosis. In the same year, American scientist Tom Loy, who found blood on Ötzi's clothes and did DNA analysis, was found dead at 63 from a blood disease despite being in good health. However, many others who studied Ötzi lived normal lives, but the curse legend remains. Today, Ötzi is kept in a refrigerated room at the South Tyrol Archaeological Museum in Bolzano, Italy, where 300,000 people visit it each year and are warned not to touch or disturb the body. The Dead Man's Chair is a famous oak chair linked to Thomas Busby, a convicted murderer from Thirsk, North Yorkshire. In 1702, Busby argued with his father-in-law about their coin counterfeiting business, then later went to his house and killed him with a hammer, hiding the body in the woods. Busby was convicted and sentenced to death. He asked for a final meal at his favorite pub, the Busby Stoop Inn. After eating and drinking there, he stood up and proclaimed a curse, saying, "May sudden death come to anyone who dares sit in my chair." Over the years, the chair was linked to around 63 deaths, including a chimney sweeper in 1894, several World War II airmen who never returned from missions, and others in the 60s and 70s who died soon after sitting in it. In 1978, the landlord donated the chair to the Thirsk Museum after the number of deaths became too coincidental. To stop anyone from sitting on it, the museum hung it about 1.5 meters off the ground. It's still there. The Basano Vase is a silver artifact made in the 15th century in a village near Naples, Italy. According to legend, it was given as a wedding gift to a young woman. On her wedding night, she was found dead while clutching the vase, possibly murdered. The vase was passed down in her family, and each owner reportedly died soon after from accidents, heart attacks, or taking their own lives. The family eventually hid it, but the vase unfortunately resurfaced in 1988 when a man in Italy dug it up in his backyard and found a note saying, "Beware, this vase brings death." He ignored the warning and sold it without the note. A pharmacist who bought it died quickly. So did the next owner, a doctor, and several more. No museum wanted it, and after more families refused it, a police officer reportedly buried it. Its current location is unknown. Some claim it's in a sealed lead coffin in an inaccessible location. Others say the Vatican has it. The Conjured Chest is a mahogany dresser kept at the Kentucky Historical Society in Frankfort and is said to be cursed. It was donated in 1976 by Virginia Carey Hudson Maine, whose family claimed the chest had brought death for generations. The story says it was made in the early 1800s by an enslaved master carpenter named Remus for plantation owner Jeremiah Graham's firstborn. After Remus spent weeks perfecting it, Graham hated the chest and beat him to death. Other plantation workers then secretly cursed the chest using dried owl's blood and a chant. The chest was placed in the nursery and tragedies followed whenever someone used it. Over 100 years, 18 deaths were linked to it, including Remus, the maid who tried to break the curse, Graham's child, and a couple who inherited it. The causes ranged from illness, accidents, and stabbing to suicide. Virginia eventually asked her maid, Sally, to break the curse. Sally performed a ritual using a dead owl, boiled willow leaves, and a jug that was buried under a bush with its handle facing east. She died shortly after, but the curse was said to be lifted. Today, the chest is sometimes displayed. Apparently, owl feathers are kept in the top drawer. Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll that was found in an antique shop in 1970 and bought by a mother as a gift for her daughter, Donna, who took it to the apartment she shared with a roommate. Soon, strange things started happening. The doll appeared in rooms where Donna had not left it. Notes saying, "Help us," showed up, and fresh drops of blood were seen on the doll's dress. Donna contacted paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. They claimed the doll was possessed by a demon, and later said it caused injuries, made a priest crash his car after he insulted it, and stabbed a homicide detective, forcing him into early retirement. The Warrens took the doll and placed it in a glass case in their occult museum in Connecticut, where it still remains. Skeptics say the story is just a modern legend. The Hope Diamond is the most famous cursed diamond in the world, worth around $300 million. Its story likely begins in the 17th century at the Koh-i-Noor mine in Golconda, India, where a rough blue diamond of over 112 carats was found. It was brought to Europe by merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier and bought by King Louis XIV in 1668. It later belonged to Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, both of whom were guillotined, and was stolen during the French Revolution. Over time, many owners and people linked to it were said to suffer ruin, disgrace, or imprisonment, which built its reputation as cursed. One was even said to have been ripped apart by dogs, and another by a French mob. The stone later appeared in England, was bought by Henry Philip Hope, and took his name after being cut into its current form. In 1910, jeweler Pierre Cartier bought it and sold it to heiress Evelyn Walsh McLean. Despite warnings, she kept the diamond, and Cartier refused to buy it back. She wore it to a party in 1911, and years later her family faced tragedy, including her son dying in a car accident, her daughter taking her own life, and her husband losing his sanity. In 1958, jeweler Harry Winston donated it to the Smithsonian Institution and sent it via mail. Today, it's displayed at the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. Skeptics say the curse story was a ploy, possibly helped along by Cartier to make the diamond more mysterious and valuable. The Crying Boy is a series of paintings from the 1950s by Italian painter Bruno Amadio. His inspiration is debated, with one idea being that he saw children orphaned after World War II. The images became very popular and were mass-produced, especially in Britain, where they were later linked to a wave of mysterious house fires. Many owners said their homes burned down while the Crying Boy prints were found untouched in the ruins. And some even claim to hear crying or screaming from the paintings. In September 1985, reports claimed over 50 homes burned to the ground. Firefighters said the paintings always survived intact. A newspaper editor told people to send in the pictures to be destroyed. So they did, and more than 2,500 prints were burned, supposedly ending the curse. Skeptics said the prints survived because they were coated with fire-retardant varnish or printed on fire-resistant hardboard, making them hard to burn. But many people preferred a supernatural explanation. The painting's popularity remains strange. Why did so many people want the image of a crying child in their homes? The Black Orlov, or the Eye of Brahma, is a 67-carat black diamond. Legend says it began as a 195-carat uncut stone that was one of the eyes of a statue of the god Brahma in Pondicherry, India, and was stolen in 1747 by a Jesuit cleric. This theft supposedly cursed it. One story says it was then brought to Russia by Princess Nadia Vigin Orlov, which is how it got its name. The diamond was said to bring her misery, and she was rumored to have jumped to her death, though later records suggest she actually lived to old age and may have faked her death. Two other Russian princesses, Leonila Golitsyn-Baryatinsky and Maria Lishinskaya, were also said to have owned it and died the same way. In 1932, the diamond was bought from an unknown source by New York gem dealer J.W. Paris, who soon jumped from a skyscraper and died. Then jeweler Charles F. Winston bought it and had it cut into 3 pieces to try to break the curse. The largest piece, weighing 67.5 carats, is the black Orlov known today. The other 2 pieces disappeared. In 2004, diamond trader Denis Pedemazes bought it and said he believed the curse was broken, then later sold it to an unknown buyer. Today, the black Orlov is sometimes shown at gemstone exhibitions. Myrtles' plantation mirror is said to be one of the most haunted objects in the Myrtles plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, a place already known for ghost stories. The mirror was added to the house in 1980, and legend says it holds the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her children. Legend claims that in the early 1800s, a young enslaved girl named Chloe, owned by Clark and Sarah Woodruff, was caught listening at doors and had one of her ears cut off. Seeking revenge, she baked a cake with poisonous oleander leaves, hoping to make Sarah and the children sick so she could care for them, earning their gratitude. But the poison was too strong. Sarah and her 2 children died, because mirrors were usually covered after death, but this one was not. The spirits were said to have become trapped inside it. Chloe was then blamed and hanged by other enslaved people, and her body was thrown into the Mississippi River. Today, the mirror hangs in the hallway. Visitors and staff report seeing handprints, eerie reflections, faces, cold spots, and marks that return after cleaning. But skeptics say the marks come from oxidation of the silver backing and the humid climate. Historical records also contradict the story. There is no proof the Woodruffs owned a slave named Chloe, her daughter, Mary Octavia, survived into adulthood, and Sarah and her daughter, Cornelia, actually died of yellow fever, not poisoning. The Delhi purple sapphire is actually an amethyst and is said to have been stolen during the Indian Mutiny of 1857 by British cavalryman Colonel W. Ferris from a temple in Kanpur dedicated to the god Indra. After bringing it back to England, Ferris suffered financial ruin and serious illness, and his family also became sick. When he lent the stone to a friend, the man later took his own life. After Ferris died, the gem went to his eldest son, who also lost his business, became ill and died poor. In 1890, the stone was bought by Edward Heron Allen, a scientist and collector who first dismissed the curse, but soon reported strange problems in his home, including anxiety and sleep issues. People he tried to give the stone to later had accidents or money trouble. He then threw it into the Regent's Canal, but 3 months later, a dealer returned it to him. Convinced it was dangerous, he sealed it in a container, put it into a bank vault, and ordered it not to be opened until 3 years after his death. He also left a note saying the stone was stained with blood and should be thrown into the sea. After he died in 1943, his daughter inherited it and donated it to the Natural History Museum in London. The box contained his warning note, and the museum kept it in storage for years before putting it on display in 1972. Today, it is shown in the museum's vault collection, but scholars suggest the curse story was likely created by Heron Allen himself. The Hands Resist Him painting, created by California artist Bill Stoneham in 1972, is often called one of the most haunted artworks. Stoneham said the doorway in the image represents a border between this world and another. From early on, owners claimed the figures in the painting move or disappear at night, and some viewers said they felt sick or weak after looking at it. A strange coincidence followed the painting when the first gallery owner who showed it and the art critic who reviewed it both died within a year. The painting later belonged to the Godfather actor John Marley, who sold it before his death in 1984. In the year 2000, it appeared on eBay, where the seller said they found it abandoned behind a former brewery and claimed their daughter saw the figures move and step out of the frame at night, even sharing photos as proof. The painting sold for around $1,000 to Kim Smith of the Perception Gallery in Michigan. The Uluru Rock Fragments. Uluru, or Ayers Rock, is a massive sandstone formation in Australia and a sacred site to the Anangu people, who believe it's tied to ancestral spirits. Taking rocks from the area is seen as deep disrespect, similar to stealing an icon from a church. But some still took fragments home, ignoring the warnings of local custodians. However, many later claimed to suffer bad luck, car crashes, serious illness, financial collapse, job loss, and even deaths in the family. In the 1980s, park authorities began receiving packages of returned rocks with letters from tourists saying their lives had fallen apart and begging for forgiveness. Hundreds of such letters have arrived and the rocks still keep coming back today, one per day, often sent anonymously from overseas, the largest weighing 32 kilograms. The Koh-i-Noor Diamond is one of the largest cut diamonds in the world, weighing 21 grams. Hindu folklore says he who owns this diamond will own the world, but will also know all its misfortunes, with the curse said to affect only men. The diamond came from India's mines, near present-day Andhra Pradesh, sifted from sand thousands of years ago. The first clear records come from 1628, when Mughal ruler Shah Jahan placed it at the top of his famous peacock throne. In 1739, Nader Shah invaded Delhi and took the gem. For about 70 years, it passed between male rulers in violent power struggles, including a king who blinded his own son and a deposed ruler whose shaved head was coronated with molten gold, until it was given to Queen Victoria after the British annexation of Punjab in 1849. Since then, it has only been worn by women in the British royal family, because Queen Victoria herself mentioned a curse associated with male owners. India, Iran, Pakistan and Afghanistan have all claimed ownership since 1947. The British government says it was obtained legally. Robert the Doll's story begins in the 1900s in Key West, Florida, when 4-year-old Eugene Robert Otto received a life-sized cloth doll. Most say it was made and given by a maid, who was angry at being mistreated by his parents and may have cursed it. Eugene became inseparable from the doll, and his parents soon heard him talking to it, and even heard a strange voice answering back. Then disturbing events started. Eugene said Robert would stare at him at night, and one day his mother found him terrified in bed with the room's furniture overturned, and he blamed the doll. As an adult, Eugene became an artist and moved back into his childhood home. His wife disliked the doll, so he kept it in the attic. Neighbors said the doll changed positions and watched them from the window, and visitors reported footsteps and laughter upstairs. After Eugene died in 1974, the house and the doll went to Myrtle Reuter, who said Robert moved around on his own and that his expression changed when people spoke badly about Eugene. Later, she gave the doll to the Fort East Martello Museum. Apparently, visitors who mock or disrespect him often claim bad luck, and later sent letters asking for forgiveness. The Destiny Ring is said to be a cursed silver ring with a tiger-eye stone linked to silent film star Rudolph Valentino, who bought it in 1920 in San Francisco, even after being warned it was a jinx. He wore it in The Young Raja, which became the biggest flop of his career. He eventually fell ill with appendicitis and died at the age of 31. His lover, actress Pola Negri, chose the ring as a keepsake and soon suffered a long period of serious illness. While recovering, she met actor Russ Colombo, who looked like Valentino, and she gave him the ring. Within days, Colombo was killed in a freak shooting accident. The ring then went to his cousin, who passed it to entertainer Joe Casino, who kept it in a glass case but later wore it. A week after putting it on, he was flattened by a truck. Joe's brother, Dell, took the ring and wore it without problems. Newspapers claimed the curse was over, but then Dell's house was robbed. The burglar, James Willis, was shot dead by police while fleeing. The ring was found on him. Later, an actor wore the ring while testing for a role in a movie about Valentino and died 10 days later from a rare blood disease. After that, the ring was finally locked away. Following a fire at a studio where the ring was being kept, the artifact allegedly vanished into a Los Angeles bank vault.